Okay, we are good to go. And do you know? Oh,
Here, baby. Yeah.
Kevin, you're in a beam of light.
I know. The anointed. What can I say? It'll pass quickly. Can you tell I face east?
Yeah. I'm in the shadow off and on, so.
Oh, I see. Yeah. This is my office at work. It's so it faces east towards
Mecca.
Hey, good answer. I love it. It shall pass quickly. This is one of my challenges back here in the morning. I really wish I had some wood blinds. The building I'm in traditionally had wood blinds, and I think this window needs them really badly. In a few minutes, this will be over.
It's really pretty, though. I like it.
Yeah, it's a very cheerful room. I'm lucky to have it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty warm during the winter.
Good.
It's sort of built into the hillside a little bit, so I think I have some protection from that. And tall ceilings, really nice tall ceilings in here.
Cool. Is it in that back building?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. What will become the brasserie.
Ooh.
I know.
I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, so working with the lawyer right now on a lease. So
Very
hopefully
cool.
we'll get that signed and get underway.
Yep. Get rid
Oh,
of
and guess what I'm having for breakfast?
what? Oh, breakfast of champions
I know.
and holy people.
I can't take my pills on an empty stomach, so I was like, hey, this will do.
It's a
It's
good
really
protein. Good protein
Oh,
snack.
God, yes.
Hi, Steve is on. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Are you the person who's calling in on the phone, Steve?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey guys, it's Amanda. I'm on the phone because I don't have a cell phone signal where I am, so just get to hear me. Can anyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Super. I will mute. And an undisclosed location. I'm joking.
Jen, do we want to give it a couple minutes? I'm not sure if we've got everyone. I know Paul Bode isn't able to attend, but that's the only person I've heard from.
That was the only person that I had heard from as well that couldn't make it. So yeah, if you want to get started, it looks like we have a quorum. Well, we have Justin, Kyle, Jan, Kevin. So, and Amanda. So, yeah, we have a quorum. We can start if you'd like. We're on the air,
Yeah,
so we're ready to go.
Okay, let's get started. Is Kent on as well?
Yes.
Okay. The purpose of this meeting is to just, during these times, make sure we're sharing any information that we have regarding the effort to reopen and understand from a town's perspective what their status is, which obviously has to be in line with county initiatives as well as obviously state initiatives. So I can start off by sharing the latest information I have. Unfortunately, it pertains specifically to restaurants, and but I think it'll be helpful to share, and then any other information anyone has, that'll be great.
Excuse me, Steve,
so-
can I interrupt you for 1 second, Steve? Can we do a roll call
Sure.
and approve the agenda?
I'm sorry, okay.
Okay.
Roll call.
Justin Dowd. Kevin Kuharik.
Here.
Jan McCollum.
Here.
Kyle Rutten.
Here.
Amanda Cooper.
Sorry, I was muted.
And then can we get a motion to approve the agenda? Can somebody make a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second
Amanda, and then Kevin, okay.
it. Kevin.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Go ahead, Steve, sorry,
Okay.
I figured we need to do that.
No, that's cool. Thanks, Jen. So anyway, I have reviewed late yesterday evening, this morning, the preliminary guidelines for restaurants to reopen. This will get considerable conversation over the next several days, in my opinion, before it is finalized. But I can share with you some of the highlights that I've read. First of all, restaurants will be able to continue to do curbside and to-go orders. They would continue to be able to include alcohol as part of their to-go services. They will be able to seat indoor seating and outdoor seating. The percentages will be based upon what's referred to as science. So there is no percentages communicated yet at the moment. They would require parties be no more than 6 people, and they would require parties to be separated by a minimum of 8 feet. And then there's a lot of other guidance.
People can.
Sorry, I hear some talking.
Sorry, I was just trying to, there's people in the office here. Sorry. I'm trying to tell them to be quiet.
I just want to, my apologies too. I'm driving, so I want to make sure you're not losing signal, or I'm not losing signal. There's additional specific guidelines for employees, such as gloves, masks, and rules regarding shift meals and not bringing in meals and not eating even shift meals on premise, which there's a lot of things that I don't think make sense. But like I said, it's very preliminary, and I know there's going to be several more stakeholder meetings going forward. I'm not sure who the stakeholders are. My information comes through the Colorado Brewers Guild, and we are right in the middle of heavy soliciting of our legislative leaders, because at the moment these current guidelines do not include breweries. Breweries are called out as being able to continue to go services, but they are not specifically called out and included in the reopening of indoor-outdoor dining. So a lot of my time last night and this morning is on the phone and calling legislators such as Speaker Casey Becker to voice my personal concern and the Brewers Guild concern that breweries are not included. We're not sure of the rationale why they would omit it. We don't know if it's a error. We don't know if it's sloppiness, or we don't know if breweries are being treated in a similar way as bars, where they don't want, they want to encourage groups and not individuals getting together and congregating. So we're working very hard on that. Obviously, I'm very much involved with Clear Creek County's efforts to reopen. Clear Creek County has been preparing an appeal to the state for businesses to be reopened, such as restaurants, breweries, rafting companies, etc., following strict guidelines. And so we're right in the middle of that effort as well. But it's kind of a little bit of a mess right now that we're trying to, make sure we have sensible and practical rules that don't arbitrarily apply to some businesses and some license holders and apply to others. So that is the current status of, at least from a restaurant opening perspective. I have communicated a little bit of this to Mark Grable, who I'm working very closely with, and Steve Hellman in Idaho Springs. The three of us are working the restaurant part of the order, and from a county perspective, because we want our county commissioners to submit an appeal. We're waiting to see what the governor's guidelines are going to be, and that will dictate whatever the language of the appeal might be. Does anybody have any questions? I kind of covered it in broad view, but I think I did pretty good for driving, and it's all based on memory.
Right, I dropped off for a minute, so if I missed anything, I apologize. I'm back though. You may have missed the whole thing, so I don't know when you dropped off. I can bring you up to speed later, Amanda. I heard most of it, I think.
Do you have any specific questions? I don't know if we lost Amanda again.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry, I can't pick anything up from you, Amanda. If there's no other questions, what I would ask, then I would also ask is for perhaps Kent to fill us in on conversations he and I have had in light of the fact that the county feels like a big component of whatever appeal they make to the state to reopen businesses will be the closure of streets, certain streets, to be able to lessen congestion on the sidewalks. This is based upon recommendation of health officials. And so the county does not feel they will have a good case to appeal and have businesses reopen if places like Georgetown and Idaho Springs don't have as part of their plan to close off, for example, 6th Street and, for example, Minor Street, and then also to potentially allow for restaurants and even businesses to expand their space beyond their storefront to minimize the amount of people in this. So, Ken, I don't know how accurate.
I think, I think you just stated it, Steve, as far as, one of the things that should be considered on any application to the state by the county is the ability to have additional space, especially for the restaurants, as far as they won't be able to have as much room inside, and we have very little inside room to begin with on most of our restaurants. But if it can be worked out and discussed with different folks in order to have, 6th Street as a possibility, even though, there was a fire in the one restaurant on 6th Street last week. If we just close 6th Street between Argentina and Rose, still keep Rose open in order to drive north and south, and same with Argentine. But just close the internal, that block in between, and allow greater space, both for the restaurant, but also for people walking back and forth. So there's a little more comfort area and a little more of a pedestrian mall feel. And then possibly the other blocks on 6th Street as far as Rose to Taos, and then possibly Taos to where Town Hall is and Griffith. But if it can work, then there's a problem as well with Kevin's business, and I point this way because he's this way on my little screen, but he is to have tour buses come and be able to move. So whatever barriers, you got to be able to still have certain vehicles be able to get through, but just not the majority of traffic. And even for the businesses down in the Gateway District, allow them to have some outdoor seating. I know it may or may not work well in Georgetown because of the wind or other environment, but during the summer here, I think it's something to see as a possibility. Especially in these extraordinary times, as if that would help the application to the state, I think it is something for us to push forward. There's some details that obviously need to be worked out, but that's the initial thought. Idaho Springs is working on Minor Street as well, basically the 3 blocks from their city hall up to just short of the Come and Go. But as far as something like that, and Kevin, you may have other information, sorry about that, but everybody's trying to scramble and trying to find additional ways that it can meet these criteria. That's about all.
Ken, I wanted to just share with you that we have suspended group tours for this tour season because of them within the museum and the furnishings. We can only fit groups of 6 at a time in the building, and we will not have second floor tours or cellar tours. It'll be a first floor only, reservation only, 6 people at a time, 4 tours a day. So there will not be tour buses associated with my business this year. So I would like to see our stretch of 6th Street closed like the rest, to allow people to spread out more. In fact, I'm trying to reduce the congestion on our sidewalk by removing the benches across the front of the building, just to add more space and to discourage groups from congregating.
Okay. Thank you, Ken.
Ken, I will also mention, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but in addition to the initiatives you mentioned on Minor Street and Idaho Springs, it's also my understanding they are seriously considering the ability to use and procure picnic tables for public parks and other areas so that people would be able to take their food and their beverages, their to-go beverages, which include alcohol, to be able to safely consume it in town in other open areas. So that's just something to also keep in mind. And then the other item that I wanted to point out regarding the county's plan, and a lot of this comes from health officials, not businesses. The process the county is following is to get input from businesses countywide, but then to overlay that with what health officials are recommending, because the county does not feel the state will approve any appeal if the county doesn't have health officials buying off on the plan. And one of the concerns of health officials is to be able to not have the towns be overrun with people. And they wanted to make sure there would be a plan to shut down traffic to the town in the event that it is getting overrun. I'm not sure what that criteria would be, but half jokingly, I told Ken, Georgetown has absolutely no problem with plans to ever close their town down. They kind of like that, actually. I'm just kind of half joking right there. So.
Well, now, I wasn't able to join the meeting on Monday, the county meeting, because I couldn't join the restaurants or the large arenas or large event discussion that they had on Zoom. They had a little trouble with their meetings on Monday. So there may have been more said on Monday, but I didn't get any follow-up on that. But yeah, as far as shutting off the town, as far as how many people, I don't know. And this may be for those on the board that have not attended or not seen the meetings involved with the county. It's really a subcommittees from the policy group to figure out, and what the state has set up is said that each county needs to apply for an exemption if they want to vary from the state rules regarding any category of businesses. And that's what the county is trying to put together now. They've seen, and you may have seen it in the newspaper or other places, that 20 to 30 counties have applied for an exemption, although Clear Creek, because of our limited public health capacity, there's a little more effort that needs to be made in order to be able to apply for an exemption that they want to go through. And that's part of the process that Steve is referring to, is that they're trying to ask and trying to put together a worthwhile plan in order so that the state will do it.
So can you tell us again what the closure would be, where exactly that would be on 6th Street, what they're thinking? If
6th Street between Argentina Rose, basically from the community center to, Ophelia's and Library Park, it would just be that block. It would not involve the crossings that go north and south. And then it would be from Taos or Rose to Taos. If everybody would agree, that would be okay. It would be just the east-west block. And then from Taos to Griffith, again, just the east-west portion of the street, not the north-south street. So Rose, you could still travel through. Taos, you could still travel through. Griffith, you could still get to the Public Energy Museum. And then also to the little cutoff that goes to Main Street in Biddle. But
so to get up to the pass, you would go
You could still go the same, the truck route, 7th Avenue, up Argentine to 7th, and then 7th over to Rose, and then Rose up to the pass. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Would there be signage to get people to the pass that way?
Yeah.
Does there need to be any kind of conversation with the people that live on that street? I mean, because that's not usually how people go up the pass, right?
Actually, I see quite a few people go that way, but there are some that go on 6.
Because we
There
see,
are some people that go up Argentine all the way up to 3rd or 2nd, and I get complaints from the residents on those streets
right.
because people try to avoid downtown. So
And then there might be an issue on the corner of Argentine and 6th or Brownell or whatever about, repairing that corner. Would-
yeah, I just spoke to the paving company yesterday, and that should be done here. But I've been saying that for so long,
We believe
until
you.
they show up on site, I don't know for sure. But they said 2 weeks will be the patch, and then a week after that will be the paving. But until they show up on site, I hate to announce it. But
Okay.
I have a question about, this is probably for Steve. If they put tables in the streets, then the restaurants themselves are responsible for cleaning them after each party. But if they were talking about picnic tables, then who's responsible to make sure they get cleaned after each party, or even the benches that are on Main Street? That's my concern, is having, I heard Kevin say he removed his, and that makes a lot of sense to me, because how else do you keep them cleaned off between parties?
Well, I'm not sure that's a, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sure that's a question I can answer. I can give you my opinion, and that is, if restaurants are allowed to push their operations beyond their door-front and use sidewalk/streets to do that, I would think that would be 100% incumbent upon the restaurants to comply, have that area comply with the state guidelines. And they're going to be pretty specific. If you have a table and guests use that table, you have to clean it after the guests leave. If there's any common surface that's touched, such as salt, shakers, peppers, they all need to be sanitized. You are not allowed to use tablecloths. If you do, it has to be a single-use tablecloth, and if you use a laundered tablecloth, you must put a new laundered cloth on the table every single seating. So that's all kind of covered. Regarding public areas and picnic tables, no, I don't know. I don't know what a practical solution for that is, other than for the public to treat those no differently than they would any public space. Meaning, if I was with my family and if I bought a to-go package from a restaurant and I walked over to the park and was allowed to eat the meal at the park, I personally would have my own sanity wipes available and make sure I clean the area. And personally, I would even clean it after I left, just out of courtesy. But I cannot envision municipalities having staff waiting, such as restaurants would, to clean off public areas. Is that reason not to do it? Personally, I don't think so. I think that the ability to spread people out is paramount to being able to appeal to the state and get things back to a little normal without increasing risks. So again, I don't think the picnic tables pose any additional risk than you have just going out in public anyway. as long as people are following guidelines issued to customers or the general public, I should say.
People
I'll
aren't
deal with that
following
another
those
meeting.
Go
guidelines.
that route, we'd want some kind of signage. We'd want some kind of signage indicating that, I think, on those around public tables if we decide to use them.
No, that's a good point. Does anybody else have any insight, questions, comments? I mean, I've kind of covered what I wanted to, and are there any other items that come to mind that people want to at least put on the radar here?
Well, I think one of the
I
things,
know.
I got one thing, you're gonna want to think about OSHA requirements for your workers and whatnot, and them understanding the safety concerns that they're gonna put up with dealing with the virus, you know, on publics, you know, on their tables outside and whatnot. Just you want to underline the risks so that you're not responsible for them getting sick and then having them sue you. And also create workman's comp sort of issues. That might be one other thing to look at.
From a restaurant perspective, there will be guidelines that are specific to the space, that are specific to employees, and that are specific to the general public. And so I am not a lawyer, nor do I want to be, but that's why I think it's critical that all businesses follow guidance provided by the state, which is overseen by health officials. And then I would even go as far as saying, if you're not a restaurant, it would be good to have you read the restaurant guidelines for their employees, because there are precautions that we will be required to take, such as making sure hands are washed at least every 30 minutes, that a fresh pair of gloves are put on after every washing, that face masks are used for any customer-facing employee, that vendors and suppliers entering the space have their own gloves and masks on, that the kitchens be, menus even in the kitchens be done in such a way as to try to maximize employee distancing, and also to encourage customers, if they are seated, to if they're going to get up from their seat and use the restroom or go pick up their food, they should put their mask on. And then if they're sitting down at the table and they're not eating and they're not drinking, to put their masks back on. So again, these are the things specific to the restaurant industry. I'm not sure what guidelines are going to be issued for other non-restaurant type businesses.
Did you, this is John again, did you look at, were you talking about thermal scans and as well as some questionnaires for your employees before they come to work? Just to make sure that they're...
Yeah, the restaurants they actually, I believe, are required right now to take the temperatures of every employee that comes into work every day. They have to log it. You have to keep formal logs of taking temperatures. And if anybody has a temperature higher than, I believe, 101 point something, that they are to be sent home and allowed to follow whatever process is needed for finding out, you know, what their issue may be. And for example, both of my locations in Georgetown and in Empire, Colorado, have that in place today. So we take everybody's temperature every single day.
Okay, thanks.
Does anybody else have anything? Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up. I am suggesting we do this meeting weekly, just to keep everybody up to date. And so if there's no objection to that, I'll ask Jennifer and Ken to have this be scheduled at 9 a.m. for an hour, unless someone's got a different idea or time or day. Okay, I didn't hear anything, so I guess I'm ready to adjourn the meeting. Do we need to do anything formal, Jen?
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, Steve, were you going to talk? You had community support for Luchas and on the agenda. Do you want to talk about that?
Good grief. I'm really sorry. Yeah, sorry. I definitely wanted to bring up Luchas. This is obviously another tragedy in the community on top of everything else that's going on. I felt Luchas was doing a phenomenal job of turning the business around a little bit. Taco Tuesdays became highly popular before COVID, and I even know their carryout was very robust for the last Taco Tuesday. But it's very sad what happened. From what I understand and from what I hear, the owners of the building are fully insured. They have the proper people involved with the closing up, boarding up the operation and securing it, and they do intend to rebuild the interior and build it to whatever the current code is, which I believe would be required anyway. I also spoke to Nick, the operator of Luchas. He did say that he is fully insured and that they do intend to reopen. So the good news is it sounds like there is a plan for those guys to get back in business when they can. Aside from that, I know there's a lot of, especially restaurant workers and others, that want to provide some level of support to them, and I am one of them. I haven't really reached out and talked to anybody yet. I know within the brewing community here in Georgetown, there is a suggestion to possibly do a special beer and give some of the proceeds to them. We're currently doing that with another charity that's brewery related to give money to frontline workers as a result of doing a Colorado Strong Pale Ale brew that is going to go to the Left Hand Brewery Foundation that'll give the money to frontline workers. So, I think we all are kind of tapped with our own efforts and with not having our businesses generate revenue. But I at least wanted to update the group as to what I've heard about Luchas, and if anybody is interested in doing some type of a community, business community initiative, I would be all in favor of that and would be willing to participate in any initiative there.
I have
Any
heard
thoughts,
of
comments?
I have heard of one thing on May 30th. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, that at Strauss Park, it was Anne Marie Smith that's organizing it, and they're having a fundraiser for Luchas. They're going to have a barbecue, like a drive-by barbecue, and then Amy Rose is going to be like singing in the park. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I have not.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can get some information from Anne Marie and we can spread the word, that would be great.
Yeah. I'll pass along what I get from her. It's not Anne Marie Cannon, it's Anne Marie Smith, which I didn't know who that was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know either.
Okay.
Do you know if any other businesses sustained any damage, either water or smoke damage as a result of the fire? Were any other businesses impacted?
My understanding is Ophelia's sustained a little water damage because they had to dump water in the wall separating Lucha's and their business. And then they did have smoke, but I haven't heard anything. For example, I know they've got a lot of antique books in the back, and gosh, if those were damaged, I hope they weren't, but I think we would have heard about that. The business to the left of it, Shop International, I don't believe they had any issues other than maybe a little smoke. And I know one of my employees up in Empire lives above the business on the corner in the apartment, kind of above where the coffee shop used to be. And they were fine. They just had a little smoky scent to their clothes that came out in the wash. So.
Shop International did have some smoke damage that they're dealing with.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for the group? Jen, is there anything else we need to do before adjourning?
I don't think so. Nope.
Okay, well, it's adjourned. Thank you very much, guys, for participating, and I'll do my best to keep the commission up to date as I learn things.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Hey, Jen and Ken, can you guys hang on so we can talk about Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, but can we call you back because we're streaming live on the website right now.
Oh,
We'll call
yeah,
you.
that'd be a good idea.
We'll call you.
Okay. All right, bye.
Bye.